Well, hello there, dead and lovely listeners. It's your good buddies, once again from the future.
Yeah. This is a different future than last future. Wait,
Yeah.
but you don't know about last future yet.
No.
Wait, do they know about last future?
No,
Oh
they
my
don't
gosh, guys. This is becoming increasingly the most complicated podcast to follow, but the most worthwhile.
Because it's fun because you're really learning how to record your own podcast along with this.
Yeah.
So as a lot of
Yeah.
you guys that have listened to the past few episodes know, we actually started recording this podcast in kind of like late 2016. And we were recording a bunch of episodes. That way we would have a little bit of a backlog whenever we started releasing them in 2017, the year of our Lord. And but the thing is once I went back and I started checking out the audio of those 2016 episodes to edit them and stuff, I realized that the audio was way fucked up on both ends here. Me on the East Coast and my man Steve on the West Coast.
That's right.
Audio is all fucked. So basically what we've been doing is re-recording the episodes from the future.
And this episode is from the future, from Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Where the Cubs won the World Series last year. Not like whatever you guys got going on.
Oh, yeah, totally different.
Also, Jaws 25 was in theaters. And right now I am wearing two ties.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, how's that?
Yeah, you feel doubly powerful, but everybody else has two ties, so it kind of evens out.
It's not really unique. Hang on just one second while I strap on my self-lacing Nikes. Hang on. Ooh, God, they feel good.
Oh, hold on, my jacket's wet. Psst, jacket drying.
So, Steve, how have you been doing this week in 2017?
Been doing pretty great. What have I done? All sorts of things. I've been hanging out with my dog a good bit.
Oh, yeah, sick.
Yeah, she's usually sitting right behind me on my chair while I record. So, we don't spend a whole lot of time apart. I would say she monopolizes. I might be in an abusive relationship with my dog.
Oh, how appropriate that is for today's episode, huh?
Yes, it is. I also have been hanging out with my wife, rewatching Cosmos.
Cosmos. Okay, you're talking about the series Cosmos, yeah?
Yeah.
I haven't watched
Neil
any of
deGrasse
it.
Tyson. It's great. Really enjoy it.
I am so hoping that next election maybe Biff can get outvoted by a Neil deGrasse political ticket.
Yeah, but it's going to be hard to beat Biff Tannen in a presidential election. Everybody said, how's this guy gonna become president? He's just, he owns hotels. He's nobody.
No.
And then, he had his reality show that, Who Wants to Be a Biffinaire?
Who wants to fuck their own daughter, bright. Stuff like that.
Who Wants to Fuck Their Own Daughter, yeah. And he won that one.
Yeah, he won.
Yeah, he did. And he won every year. It got sadder and sadder and sadder. And then people elected him president, so...
It is a strange and dark future we have found ourselves in.
Yeah, well, he says that Gray's Sports Almanac tells him the future, and who are we to question him?
Dude, do you know what would be the sickest?
Tell me, please.
What if there was some bizarre reality where under a Donald Trump presidency, his son, Donald Trump Jr., has the powers of Legion from the X-Men universe, and he flies back in time to try to kill his own father.
Oh my God! But he actually ends up beginning the Age of Apocalypse, and we all find out that what's happening is that Donald Trump he's not stopping Democrats from coming to power, but he is stopping apocalypse from coming to power.
And maybe, dude, maybe Apocalypse's entire campaign slogan is Blue Lives Matter.
Blue Lives Matter, yeah. And people are like, yeah, I agree with that.
He's a blue man.
They end up voting Apocalypse to president.
Maybe it would be better if it was Blue Lips Matter, since he has the blue lips.
Right, he does. Are those even lips? I mean, come on, Apocalypse.
He just got out of the pool like all the time.
I mean, I really hope that every single episode of this podcast somehow references Age of Apocalypse.
I'm telling you, dude, it has been like an obsession of mine since, well, whenever that series started coming out and stuff. That's been like 90s. my favorite like alternate reality storyline of all time. My favorite story arc of any comic book ever is Age of Apocalypse. So great. I fucking love it.
So great.
I had a really funny thing happen tonight that I just got back from a second ago. I went to a buddy of mine's wedding. My buddy Mike was getting married. And at the wedding, we basically didn't really know anybody other than the bride and groom. We ended up making a couple of friends that we were seated with that were really cool. But one thing that was really funny, and I spotted it during the ceremony, I don't know who it was. They were sitting at the very front, so I assumed that they were a relative of the bride or the groom. There was a woman sitting at the very, very, very front by herself that looked exactly like a slightly younger version of the absolutely bizarre, crazy aunt from Sleepaway Camp.
Yes.
Like, dead on.
Oh, no,
exactly,
now that won't do.
Exactly like her.
Yeah.
Like, it was fucking crazy.
She's a doctor, remember?
She's a doctor.
That's important. Yeah.
I kept waiting for her just to, like, stand up in front of the aisle and be like, Richard, Angela. I can't wait to do Sleepaway Camp on this show. We've got to do it sometime.
Yeah, we absolutely do. It's one of my favorites of all time.
Oh, what a fucked up, crazy movie.
So great.
Yeah.
So this week, we're doing a little movie called Audition by Takashi Miike. But Ben and I thought it would be a good idea to maybe take a quiz. And what are we going to find out from this quiz, Ben?
Well, here's the thing, Steve, is this flick is really all about relationships. Relationships,
right.
Of course, come in all shapes and sizes and so on. But this movie specifically observes the male-female relationship. And so I thought that as a great way to kind of get into this episode, it would be a lot of fun if you and I took a quiz to find out what our couple personality is. Now, of course, Steve and I are both individually married to some fine ladies.
That's true.
But me and my man Steve have always been really just a unique. We've had a unique bond since we met in college.
Yeah, we're a couple of boyfriends for sure.
We've talked about so many times just leaving these ladies that we're with and just running off to start a life of our own. So I think it'd be a really fun idea to find out what kind of couple we are.
I'll tell you this for sure.
Yeah.
We would have a delicious relationship, as I know you cook, and I also cook all the time. And
think about how much that we'd laugh and cut each other up.
Man. You know what? This might be the episode where this becomes the Ben and Steve Thelma Louise edition podcast. Where we run off from these women who are holding us down.
Maybe what happens is the day that this episode comes out, we like leave a note to our wives and we're like, just listen to this to find out all the details of why I'm gone.
And at the end, we include, be sure to rate and review us on iTunes.
But the thing is like, honestly, like, both of our wives, I'm pretty sure would be like, yeah, that sounds about right. Like, we kind of always knew that Ben and Steve would run off together. It's whatever. We kind of always knew.
My wife's two top concerns are heart attack and Ben Eller.
Yeah, it's fine. That's actually a lot of people's top concerns. Speaking of delicious, I'm drinking currently a really fine Knob Creek what is this? It's like the Select or something like this. It's like 100 proof. It's really fucking good.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Delicious. I'm a huge fan of bourbon. I picked up a bottle of soju.
Soju is called.
Yeah, I live in Koreatown, and I have seen soju at the stores. Now, I'm going to go ahead and apologize to our Korean listeners. I know that you're not supposed to drink soju alone.
Oh, that's what I call Thargooden. Anytime you drink alone, that's called Thargooden.
Yeah.
I drink alone.
I prefer to do it by myself when I drink alone.
I prefer to be by myself. It's the best.
And in this case, I'm with you. So,
you're not technically Thargooden.
I am not. But if I did have bourbon, scotch, and beer here, I would follow his advice.
You'd have one of each.
Yeah, I decided to try it, and let me tell you, soju tastes like nothing.
Is it getting good to you?
And it's fine. It tastes just fine. It tastes kind of like water.
Mm-hmm.
But it's 20% alcohol.
So it's getting you fucked up.
If I'm not careful, I may end up by the end of this being rather drunk. Yeah.
Look out. I had several beers and a couple shots of moonshine at the wedding, and now I'm here at home. I had a beer when I got home, and now I'm drinking this whiskey. So, yeah, probably me too.
So this should be the best episode of our podcast.
Yeah.
By far.
You mean the best podcast of all time.
Well, yeah, I already knew that.
Yeah.
I believe iTunes called me today.
Yeah?
Well, they didn't call me. Nobody calls me direct. That's
no, they called your people.
Yeah, they called my people. The people called my assistant. My assistant told an intern, and then Bill Gates Jr. came in here, and he said, "Excuse me, sir." And I said, "What? Speak up when you talk to me, son."
Don't stutter.
He said, you got a call from iTunes?" And I took the call, and iTunes said, "This is iTunes." And I said, "I'm not talking to iTunes." I hung up. And then Tim Cook called back. Same process. He said, "You guys are number one." So
wow.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Speaking of number one, and speaking of relationships, and speaking of our wives,
let's hear it.
I just realized that it just passed over midnight at the stroke of May 7th, 2017 right now, which means it is my
Mother's Day.
It's my anniversary, bro.
Oh, okay. It's your anniversary.
Mother's Day. It's
happy anniversary.
Yeah, that's what you're starting with. It is my wife and I's sixth wedding anniversary and 16th year together total.
That is insane. You know what's crazy though is that not far from now, on the 13th, a week from yours almost. Yeah. My wife and I will be celebrating our 7th anniversary as a married couple. Yeah. So, way to go, May weddings.
Oh, man. Boo. Kate, you my boo. You my real girl. You had me at hello, etc.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me, I should say some things to my wife. It's really funny when you call me bitch in front of your mom. I like it when you're drunk and you slap me and then look at me and go, "You like that?" I mean, I don't necessarily like the slap, but I think it's very funny.
It's endearing.
Yeah. Also, you're the best.
Oh, I'll tell you guys a funny story too about Steve's wedding. So, whenever Steve got married about 7 years ago, it's when he still lived in Tennessee here with me.
Yep.
And the week of his wedding, I started undergoing a mysterious affliction with laryngitis where I completely lost my voice. It's really strange. It was the first time I've ever had that. Actually, my speaking and singing voice have never been the same ever since I had it. So it's been really, it's been crazy. Actually, though, my voice got cooler, so it's kind of all right.
Yeah, because you did used to sound very wienery.
I sounded wienery, and now I sound like David Coverdale. So
Yeah, or tone loc.
Or tone loc, yes.
Yeah.
So I went to while I was having the laryngitis and couldn't speak, I felt totally fine. It's just that it was almost like, do you ever have those dreams where like you're trying to like scream only nothing comes out?
Yes.
It felt exactly like that. Like I felt totally fine. It's just that whenever I tried to speak, nothing came out. So
I remember.
I had this going on, and we went to your all's wedding, and we were there all day because my wife was taking pictures and stuff. And
Best.
I had to have a notepad. Like I had a notepad in my pocket where I would just write down responses like hello and not pork, fish, please, and stuff like this. That happens all the time. And I went to
people just come up to you
pork or fish.
And they say which would you prefer, pork or fish? Because I'll tell you this, at our wedding we had a peanut butter and jelly bar, so
which is badass. It's a great choice.
wasn't no pork nor fish.
No. So I had to have a pen and pad with me all day, and so I was like answering the questions and like writing down I have laryngitis, I can't speak and stuff like this. And it was like by the time that the whole ceremony was over and like the reception was shutting down and we were helping you all clean up and stuff like this, your wife turned to me and she's like, okay, seriously, like it's been cute, but you can drop the act now. Everything's over. And I'm like I wrote down, I'm like, no, really, I can't talk. And I think both of you guys are like, we really thought you were just screwing with this all day.
Yeah, I was fine with it too. I was like, okay, yeah,
I think
it's cool, whatever.
It's so wonderful that you guys accepted me as Mr. Faking I don't have a voice all day at your wedding.
Yeah, what's the problem with that?
And you're like, whatever. He's a real screwball, that one.
This guy. And then for Christmas, you sent us a Christmas card, and you said, sorry for having laryngitis at your wedding. P.S. I was faking.
Fuck you.
Yeah, my wife saved that one for sure.
And then I showed up to your birthday party wearing like dark sunglasses and had a walking cane, and I was just faking being blind.
Yeah, and everybody was like, well, just guide him along.
It was a little less cute.
Yeah, it was, but yeah, still fun.
Then your last birthday party, I showed up being gluten-free. That was just fucking annoying.
Yeah, you just kept pointing it out. Like, yeah, I'm not sure if that has gluten in it. And everybody was like, that's a table, then. Yeah,
I can't
but
sit
I might
in
not
this
be able
chair.
to
It's
eat
got
that.
gluten.
Yeah. Has anybody been eating gluten? Can you just breathe the opposite way? Because I think gluten can survive on your breath.
Oh, relationship. That was a good time.
Good time.
All right, so let's go ahead and take this relationship quiz here.
Thank God.
I'm on playbuzz.com, and I'm finding out what is your couple personality. So we're going to answer these questions together as Steven and I are the original power couple.
That's right.
All right, Steven, how did you and your partner meet? I'm going to give you several choices here, and we're going to discuss them and answer together as a couple. All right, so our choices are, we actually used to hate each other at a concert.
We actually used to hate each other at a concert.
Yeah. Online, other,
wait, it already skipped to other?
Yeah, it did, meaning like in another dimension or something like this, I guess. At the gym, you and I are both gym rats.
That's true.
Through mutual friends or through work or at a job. I guess I would have to say through mutual friends because we met at Walter State Community College through Holly Ford, our extremely talented friend.
Yeah.
One of the best artists I've ever known in my entire life and just a lovely person.
Yeah, she's great. Love Holly Ford.
So we met through Holy Fard. So I'm gonna put through mutual friends.
I believe if you do want to check out Holly Ford, her name is now Holly Romy.
Holly Romy, that's correct.
Yeah, and you can find all sorts of stuff from her on Etsy. She's got all sorts of great stuff up there, so go check her out.
Yes, she is a fantastically talented person. Okay, so how often are you two intimate?
Oh, wow.
Okay, so our choices are...
We record this about once a week, right?
Yeah.
So
we text pretty often, though. Some pretty intimate
That's
details,
true.
I suppose. So our choices are: we don't keep track. We can't get enough of each other. I can't really ever get enough of Steve.
Well, hey, all right.
A couple times a week. Often enough. I shouldn't have to answer that. And 3 to 4 times. Yeah, I know. That's kind of cold. And
I'm going to say we can't get enough of each other.
I mean, the other answer is 3 to 4 times a week. But I would also say we can't get enough of each other. Me and Steve
That's true.
are seriously just like, we just crack each other up all the time. So, yeah. What is one thing you always do together?
Okay.
I wish podcast was an option.
What if it is? Just be sure to check all the options.
Yeah, horror
there's
podcast.
There's bound to be one.
Our options are sleep, which I don't know that we do. Our schedules are kind of weird considering our time zones.
Yeah.
Everything.
And I also keep a weird schedule.
Yeah.
Everything.
Travel, share jokes and laugh, sex, duh. Something else, or share advice. I would say share jokes and laugh.
Share jokes and laugh.
Yeah, I tend to always like text you or call you anytime there's something funny that happens. Like seeing proto sleepaway camp lady at a wedding.
And I meant to talk to you about that because when I respond to you, I always respond very seriously, and you always respond with laughter. Now I'm a little confused. You sent me that text that said, "Aren't moms the worst?" And I said, "Mine just died of cancer." And you said, "How brutal, dude."
It's an odd dynamic.
It is.
What is the strongest component of our relationship?
Oh.
Is it, you have 6 choices here, Steve. Loyalty.
Right.
Respect.
Gotcha.
Communication. Support. Chemistry.
Right. Okay.
Or weirdness.
Oh. Well, I was going to say...
It's really between chemistry and weirdness because we got
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, look at us.
I was going to say chemistry had it cemented, and then you said weirdness.
Me and Steve are really fucking weird. Within like the first... I think the first minute of meeting you...
Yeah.
There were jokes thrown around about having like a chopped up hooker in your trunk.
Yep.
I would say that might constitute weirdness, but it also constitutes chemistry too.
It does, for sure, yeah. You got to know who you can tell those jokes to.
I'm going to go...
it was there?
I might go weirdness, because that's that's more unique than chemistry, I think.
Yeah, let's go with weirdness.
All right, weirdness. So that's us. All right, do you belong to a social group?
Okay.
The answers are yes, no. Only other friends in relationships. That's fucking stupid. We hang out with work colleagues. That sounds just brutally boring. Yes, but we rarely see them. I mean, we don't really... We have a lot of like kind of common overlapping friends that we don't see very much.
That's true.
But maybe it should just be no, because I wouldn't really say I belong to a social group. Like, because of what I do for a living, like I don't really have a lot of like co-workers or anything, and neither do you. Yeah,
I don't either. Yeah, the only social group I have is my family that live out here, and
I don't know them.
So, yeah, and a few other people. So, and we don't see each other that often because I work from home. So,
I might say no. Yeah, I'm gonna answer us no on that one. All right, our next question here. This is a big one. Do you disagree much? Our choices are almost never. Oh yeah.
Right.
Yes, but it's like foreplay for us. Shit.
Oh, okay. That okay.
Only over significant things.
Right.
Every now and then, and only over small things.
Huh.
This is hard to say. Now, the thing that you guys might not know about Steve... is that Steve has a full chest Ted Nugent tattoo and is a registered Trump voter.
Yeah. I mean, listen, build that wall, lock her up, MAGA. Okay, guys?
But her emails.
You know what? There may be some people out there who are looking for auditions specifically, and this is your first episode. That is not true.
Now, let me ask you. Yeah. So, I don't know. Disagree much. I don't think that we really.
No.
We don't really,
we
actually.
Don't.
We're pretty on board with everything.
Yeah, and like actually, since we've started working with each other, it's even less than I could imagine. Like
I might say,
I thought
it's either almost never or only over small things for me.
Yeah, like the and it doesn't even matter to us. I don't think anything. I don't think we've ever had any disagreement regarding
major
the
things,
podcast or anything, or especially major things. So yeah, I would say almost never.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with almost never. Okay, so, here's a good one. The world is taken over by zombies.
Oh, thank God.
What are you, and this is geared to us because it says, what are you guys most likely to do about it?
Okay.
Okay, so our choices here are, we become the zombie rulers, which I guess would mean that we get infected by the zombies.
Okay.
We kick ass.
Okay.
I honestly don't know.
I don't either.
Make the most of our last moments together.
Okay.
We run off to somewhere safe.
Uh-huh.
Or we probably think it's hysterical.
Okay.
I think we probably think it's fucking funny.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like, because honestly, I'm at the point now where I watch Walking Dead or anything like that, and I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. Honestly, like, it'd be nice.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if our biggest threat was dead people coming back to life.
It would somehow be less scary than a lot of other things that might be going on.
So much less scary. So much easier to deal with. Okay.
Yeah, because you're like, you know how to solve this problem? Headshots.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, like,
headshots.
all the other shit that's going on in the world, it's like, you know how you solve this? Okay, well, you need to start from the ground up with education and home.
Yeah,
you know?
It's going to take us probably 150 years to really get it set up. That would be fun.
Meanwhile,
Funny, for sure.
Zombies, that's such an easy fix. That's such an easy problem to deal with. I would think it's hysterical. So I'm going to go
Certainly
with that.
there will be other issues as we see in shows like The Walking Dead. But the great solver of all those problems often comes along, which is hordes of zombies.
All right, Steve, where might our next vacation be? This is a big one.
Okay.
Our choices are Las Vegas, which you already live in Las Vegas, California, right?
Yeah, right. Straight up in Las Vegas, California, baby.
Bali, which it shows us a beautiful beach sort of photo.
Yeah, Bali sounds great.
Middle of nowhere, looks like somebody out in the woods.
Oh, okay.
Gay Paris, France.
Okay.
Sailing the seas.
Pirate style or...
Yeah.
Doesn't say.
Somali pirate style.
Somali pirate style. Okay, that's a little less intriguing.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
Or theme park. Okay, so we got Vegas, beach, forest, Paris, on a boat, or theme park.
God, that's a tough one. Because I love the beach. I'd love to go to Paris. Never been there. Do love being on the ocean as well. Oh, and theme parks can be some fun.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is okay. Las Vegas, not terribly interested in.
No.
I love any time on a beach that I can possibly grab. Bali is pretty damn tempting. Middle of nowhere, not that tempting because I kind of live in the middle of nowhere.
God, yeah, I lived there before, so I had enough of it.
Yeah, Paris, I'd like to see. Sailing the seas, I don't really have much interest in.
Okay.
I play, as most of you guys know, I play music and stuff for a living, so I do a lot of... I've done several like cruise ship gigs playing with my cover band, the Riders of Brohan.
Oh, yeah.
So in order to get me to sail the seas, you have to pay me. I'm not going to pay you to sail the seas. However, I would really love to go to a theme park with you and do all the people watching. Like if you and I went to like Wizarding World of Harry Potter, holy fuck.
Yeah, that's my wife and I, but because our anniversary is coming up, we're looking at getting, if you are a Southern California resident, you can get a pass to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter that is a little bit more than people normally pay for a single day.
Oh, dude.
And you can go, I mean, there are blackout dates, but you can go basically anytime throughout the year.
You have to do it. It's the best. It's the best place in the world.
Yeah. Oh, and also, like, you get to go through the rest of Universal Studios, which is, it's got cool stuff, too. So,
also, that Hulk roller coaster is the shit.
Yeah, so let's go with...
I'm a theme park.
Let's go with that.
Yeah. All right, so Adventure Theme Park. Okay. Next question. Do you do everything together? Answers here are... yeah, right, yeah. We live on opposite sides of the fucking country.
Yeah.
Yes, because we hate being apart. I do hate being apart from you.
Yeah.
If I could keep you a little Pokeball in my pocket, I would.
And then be like, Steven, I choose you.
Pokemon Master. Our next option is only when we plan to. We're pretty independent. Yes, but it just comes naturally.
Right.
No way we'd go crazy or almost everything. I guess I'd have to say, we're pretty independent.
Yeah. That's the only choice I think that would work.
Yeah. All right. What do you like? What do you like best about your significant other?
Thank God we got to this.
What do you like best about? Some of these don't make sense. The first option is something else. That's kind of skipping ahead. They make me laugh.
Aww.
You do make me laugh, Steve.
Yeah, well, hey. Feelings mutual, guy.
Oh, they understand me. I think you do get a grip on Ben.
Yep.
They know exactly what I like. I think you do that too.
Yep.
They're always up for anything, like doing a fucking podcast across the country. So I think that's good.
Sounds fun.
They're very driven. We are both very driven.
That is true. How else would we make it?
They balance me out perfectly. I don't know that you balance me out exactly because we just do the same shit. It's like we like horror movies and drinking and metal and so I don't think that one.
Yeah. I believe the major podcast criticism for us is that we're basically like Ebert and Ebert.
But way funnier.
Yeah, way funnier. Because we're still alive.
Also that, yes. I would instinctively answer this. They make me laugh because that was my first thing I liked about you, Steve, is that you do make me laugh.
Yeah, certainly. That's what made our friendship, I would say.
But you do also understand me and know what I like and yada yada. But yeah, I'm gonna go with that laugh.
One finger in the butthole.
And that wasn't an option, so I didn't choose that.
Oh.
All right, I have an ad before I can check our results.
Oh, good.
Oh, dude, look at this. We are
what is it?
The funny couple.
Aww.
And there's a picture on the screen of Sacha Baron Cohen and Isla Fisher. I like to think that I'm Isla Fisher because she's hot.
She is super cute. And I like to think I'm Sacha Baron Cohen because he's taller than me and so hot. Oh wait, no.
It says your personality is the funny couple. You and your significant other get invited basically anywhere because of this. We do.
That is true. I don't think anybody's ever been like, can't have Ben and Steve here. They'll ruin the party.
Yeah, fuck no. They'll make this stuff not good. Not only do you have great sense of humor separately, but together you are a riot. God damn, this thing is right.
Way to go, Playbuzz.
You both love to laugh and spread the joy, which explains the need for your friends and family to feed off the wonderful energy and vibes you exude. They do that.
They do. Those vampires feeding off my vibes.
Damn laughter vampires. It would be unfair not to mention that you totally get each other. Seeing the humor in almost anything is what gets you through hard times, acting as a mutual support system. Oh, Steve.
Yep. That is totally us. Oh, Playbuzz, you got us. Now, as always, Playbuzz, if you'd like to advertise Dead and Lovely, contact us at 5445 Santa Monica Boulevard.
Just because you seem like a lighthearted couple, it doesn't mean those hearts aren't super big in size. Look at us.
That is true. Yeah.
I think they nailed it.
Definitely have a big heart. It runs in the family. It's
enlarged
probably gonna
heart.
kill us all. Yeah, enlarged heart.
Oh man.
So I wonder if our couple from the movie Audition were to take this.
Oh, what would they say?
I bet they'd get funny couple too, because this is a romantic comedy for sure, and I'll prove it to you today.
I can't wait to hear about this. Okay, so let me give you guys a little backstory. So, back in 2016, when we recorded this podcast in that other reality, where Berenstein Bears was spelled Berenstein instead of Berenstain, what the fuck is up with that?
I don't know.
Holy
it makes
shit.
no sense. MAGA. Oh, damn it. It just keeps coming out of me.
So, whenever we recorded this for the first time, this was the first time that I had ever watched that movie. I'd heard about it a lot, and I've seen a couple of Takashi's other movies, like Ichi the Killer,
Ichi the Killer, yeah.
Happiness of the Katakuris, Gozu, several others. I've seen a bunch of his flicks with my buddy Brandon.
Masters,
was a big fan.
Have you seen his Masters of Horror?
Is that Dumplings?
Imprint.
Oh, Imprint's fucking badass. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Dumplings. Didn't he direct that?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I might be wrong about that. But yeah, Imprint is really, really, really cool. I enjoyed that as well. So this wasn't the first Takashi movie I'd seen, but whenever we watched this the first time, it was the first time that I had watched Audition. Was it the first time that you had seen this movie when we originally did it?
Yes, it absolutely was. As I've not seen... If a movie is predominantly torture porn or is has a reputation for that, I generally have not seen it.
Yeah, because that's not typically like my kind of thing. Like that's not really scary.
It's not horror to me. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
to me, there's a very different line I think between what constitutes horror to some people means like stuff that startles you and jump scares and gore.
Certainly.
And it's like I don't really think that's necessarily horror. I think that's startling and gross, but I don't really think that's horror per se.
Yeah. Hey, Ben, hold on 1 second. I have to pee so bad, I'm going to die.
Oh, you do that. And in the meantime, I'll continue entertaining the audience more, and you just tell me whenever you're back.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay. So my buddy Brandon Suttles, who I call Brandon Skittles, who's just a great dude, was one of the guys that really kind of got me into expanding my view of film and movies and so on. Because before him, like, I always really enjoyed movies, but he's the guy that started introducing me to some more foreign horror movies and some more artsy and independent flicks and stuff that I hadn't really seen before. So I owe Brandon everything that I have for my knowledge of anything Takashi related. I think the first Takashi movie that he ever showed me, because he was like a huge Takashi fan. And for those of you guys who don't know, Takashi has like something like 80 or 90 movies he's released. He's one of the most prolific directors of all time. It's kind of insane how much work that guy does. Brandon, I think, owns about 40 or 50 of his movies and is just a huge fan of his. So whenever I met Brandon in college, we started watching through some Takashi flicks, which, like I said, included...
Hello.
Oh, are you back?
Hello, is this where I sit? Hello. It's me, Steven's grandfather. Hello. What if my grandfather did sound like that? That would make no sense. I'm from the South.
That'd be awesome. Well, I was just telling about my history of watching Takashi flicks with my buddy Brandon. And the first one that I watched was Ichi the Killer, which at the time when I watched it, it really, really just kind of made me come unglued. I had no idea what to think about that movie. And since then, I've watched it again, and I really, really dig that movie. And we watched several others. He and my wife watched Audition, but I didn't watch it back then. I honestly think with my view of movies back then, I probably wouldn't have really dug it. So I'm kind of glad that I watched this one for the first time only several months ago. So have you ever watched any other Takashi flicks?
Yeah, I've seen Ichi. I've seen Imprint. I can't think of any other offhand. But yeah, I've seen a couple.
So whenever we watch movies for the podcast, we usually watch them and like take notes and kind of go over it sort of scene by scene. Whenever I watch this movie, I can't exactly remember the circumstance, but I never took notes for it. I watched it like twice, I think, and never took notes down. We just kind of talked about it last time. So whenever you watch this, you kind of went over it, and I think you watched it again the other day, right?
I did, and I broke the story. You
cracked the code.
The first time we talked about this, we did not comprehend what this movie is.
Oh, man.
And I will tell you now, this is a romantic comedy with an extended dream sequence.
That's it.
That's it.
That's
Nothing
awesome.
more to it.
I think it's a really cool flick. It's one of those that I wouldn't necessarily just put on any old time because, what a jolly film this is that makes me feel good. It's not really like that.
There are things I love about this movie, but it's not a jolly film.
It's one of those flicks that honestly I enjoy talking about more than I do watching it, if that makes sense. It's like watching it is just kind of like, watching the movie is about like a 5 out of 10. Talking about it is a 10 out of 10 because there's a lot of subtext and stuff that you can analyze and a lot of social commentary and stuff like that you could look at as far as, relationships and dating and especially gender stereotypes and so on.
Yes.
It's a fun movie. Like, it's one of those ones that I would put as it's a fun movie to watch with people that have never seen it just to see what they think it's about.
Yeah, it really is.
And a lot of my favorite flicks are like that, where it's like, I just want to watch this with you and see what you think of it.
And this one is impossible, I think, to fully get from an American standpoint to fully get this movie the first time you watch it.
Yeah, there's a lot of cultural subtext and stuff going on with this movie. Yeah. And I don't even really think that watching it once constitutes watching it, because whenever you watch this movie just one time, and obviously if you're listening to this, gigantic spoilers, we talk about the fucking movie here. Whenever you watch this for the first time, you just get the impression that it's about this Japanese guy who is getting on up in his years, and he's like, he's got pressure from his son and his co-worker and stuff like this. You're getting old, you need to settle down and get married. And so basically what he does is he works for a kind of a TV or movie company, a media company.
He works for a production company.
And so he starts hosting an audition for a movie that doesn't exist, just so that he can meet pretty females and try to find an appropriate one. And he falls in love with this girl who turns out being an absolute lunatic. And
or does she?
Exactly. And at the end of the movie, what we see is she like cuts his foot off, and she's like had a guy. She's killed at least one or two other guys, and she's a lunatic. So basically that's the gist. A guy looks for a girl. He ends up going out with a girl who's a fucking maniac.
Yeah.
Now, at least that's what it seems like the first time.
Yeah, that is what it seems like, and that would all make sense if you don't catch that about an hour into the movie he falls asleep.
Yeah.
And that is the moment when everything goes wacky.
That's when they're like on vacation or something, right?
Yeah, it's when he takes her. He's going to propose to her at the resort in the mountains, which looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
There are a few things we should mention here that happen in the beginning that aren't the most important things, but his wife dies in the beginning when his son is very young, and this, of course, this would be a very difficult situation. You got to raise your child alone, whatever.
Sure.
His son seems to, we skip forward into the future, his son seems to be extremely well adjusted, just fine.
Got him a girlfriend and stuff.
Yeah, he's a dinosexual. He only talks about dinosaurs.
Yes.
He's so brazen about his dinosexuality that when he's looking at dinosaur porn later on his computer and his dad walks in, he doesn't even turn off the monitor.
He's like, this is normal, right?
Seriously though, the way this kid talks about dinosaurs, it's like, dude, what? Like, this is shit that's like above Jurassic Park level talking about dinosaurs. Like, you are over everybody's head. Just calm it down.
Dinosexual.
Yeah, but his kid is well adjusted, But he is lonely and sad, and this kid points it out. Like, you're lonely and sad. I'd be okay if you started dating again.
Yeah.
Pretty cool kid.
Especially if it was a pterodactyl or brontosaurus.
Yeah, he does mention that. He says, like, now be sure if it is a brontosaurus that you can handle the fact that your size won't measure up. And then he's like, is that an Asian joke?
Oh.
And I was like, hey, hold on, guys. This is getting in dicey territory.
Yeah.
But no, his son's like, no, Brontosaurus, it's huge. Also, it probably didn't exist. It's just an apatosaurus with another head put on top. What?
The movie really is. It goes deep onto the dinosaur stuff. It's
a
really
lot
kind of a
shit about dinosaurs.
It's a huge dinosaur fans movie.
Yeah, but
it sets to right all the wrongs that Jurassic Park laid forth.
Oh, that is a good point, because at one point the kid does say to Asami, not the mama.
P.S. Dinosaurs, the series, it's way darker than you remember.
Super fucking dark. Jesus Christ, that.
It makes me kind of like sad to watch it again. It
ends in an extinction. Have we talked about this before?
Yeah. Holy fuck. Do you remember the episode where like his boss is gonna kill him and like eat him, and his boss is like fucking 1,000,000 feet tall, and it's really fucking weird.
Yeah, that show was strange.
Yeah.
Now this we should say that throughout this, I'm not going to try to pronounce a lot of the names.
Oh no, no way. I don't even remember the names.
Yeah, not because like I don't want to like make the effort. It's just that like while watching the movie, I couldn't get how they pronounce them, and then seeing them written down, I know that I'll mispronounce them, and so I'm just not even gonna try. I know that the last name of the father and the son is Aoyama. Mm-hmm. And our main female character is Asami.
Okay, that's right. I mean, really, it's a very small cast movie, so like for all intents and purposes, it's like there's the dude, there's his son, there's the female interest, there's the guy that works with the dude, and there's the ballet instructor, and that's about it. Yeah.
So he goes out with his friend that he works with at the production company, and they're at the bar, and the friend is being super sexist about a nearby group of girls who just laugh. Yeah, he calls them like horrible girls. He says awful girls, no class and stuck up, stupid as well. Where are all the attractive women? And I immediately thought, okay, so is this guy just a Reddit commenter? Like,
or is he running for president?
Like, oh, right. I didn't. The last line was grab him by the pussy.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, I should have.
Oh, I'm laughing, but it's really not funny.
It is. But it's dystopian funny.
Yeah.
So Aoyama says that he wants a woman with confidence. He says he wants, a girl who's not too young, a girl who has some work experience, maybe has like a talent, so that she has some confidence in herself.
And again, a lot of the things that he lays out, he's like, I want a girl who's young and pretty, and I'd love it if she could dance or play an instrument. He basically, and again, this is cultural subtext, but he basically lays out qualities that you see in the prototypical geisha. Yeah,
he kind of wants that.
Yeah.
That's, and you know what, like, it's a romantic comedy, as I said. Like, if we look at it like that and compare it to every other romantic comedy, that is what they always describe. You never hear a guy describe like an actual woman. He's always just describing the actress that they've cast.
Yeah, an
for
ideal
the role.
Even.
Yeah. So he's describing this ideal woman, and it's going to come back to bite him in the ass.
Yeah.
Which is kind of but it doesn't. Again, as I said, this has an extended dream sequence, but it's going to come back to make him feel like he's being bitten in the ass because he feels like his relationship may be too perfect.
Right.
But there's this major issue, of course, that this is a super sexist setup that it would be a good movie if it did pay off the way that The Last Hour seems to pay off.
Right.
But the fact that we're given the this is all a dream out kind of ruins it. Because what this does is it does this super sexist setup of a rom-com, and then it's almost like the woman gets her revenge for it. But she doesn't, unfortunately. They set up this audition. This is supposed to be comical, but I don't get a lot of the jokes.
Right, yeah. Again, cultural things, I think.
Yeah, it is. Some of them are like reference jokes. One of the reference jokes, though, is I think they asked one of the actresses who her favorite actor is, and the actor she says is the main character's friend.
Yeah.
So, like, and then they laugh. They, like, crack up. So, but, like, that kind of breaks the fourth wall in a way that
it's kind of
makes
weird,
it all make even less sense.
I didn't know that. That's really strange.
Yeah. So they interview all these girls, and each one, I guess, is supposed to be a joke. Like, there's supposed to be something funny there.
Like something ditzy or something.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. And again, the jokes, I don't know if they're not landing because it's a cultural difference, or if they're not landing because they're rom-com jokes that just aren't funny.
Yeah, which in that case, it's like, it's supposed to be that way.
Yeah, and if it's supposed to be that way, then it's kind of brilliant. Yeah. But they get to Asami near the end, and most of the way, Aoyama hasn't said much. He hasn't said really anything in the interviews, but he had kind of fallen in love with her essay about why she wanted the part. Mm-hmm. And she had said that she used to dance ballet, and she had gotten an injury, and her dreams had been crushed, and that she didn't even care if she got the part, etc. And he, I guess, really liked, you know how some guys like women whose dreams have been crushed?
Yes, and it's the kind of thing that I think, and again, to me, very much of this movie is about gender stereotypes, and one of the most prevalent gender stereotypes I see in very toxic real life relationships is the guy who wants to fix the woman.
Yep, that's exactly what this is.
This isn't good. This isn't something that I think is a great way to build a relationship or anything like this, but I, especially in my younger years, my teenage years, I just used to see so many relationships that were built on, oh, wow, I think I can fix this person. And it's like, nah, man, that's really not a good start to anything.
No, not a good way to get into anything.
Yeah.
If the situation you're going into needs to be fixed before you can even start working on it, that's a problem. Yeah,
exactly. Because typically that involves having an ideal of an end result of it's like, oh, the end result of this will be someone that I like. I don't like them really now, but after I fix them, they'll be great. It's like, no, that's a horrible start to anything, really.
Yeah, don't go that way.
I'm not saying that nobody should have baggage or problems going into a relationship with someone, but I'm saying you should love someone for who they are, not who they would be after you fix them, because that's fucked up. Who are you, fucking Frankenstein?
You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say, yeah, you should find somebody who has a lot of problems and try to fix them.
We do disagree. Look at us.
I disagree.
So he ends up finding this chick that he likes, and he likes her because it says that she has problems that she used to be a dancer and can't do it anymore. Yeah,
and so in the interview, he basically just compliments her on her essay, and then she leaves, and the friend is like, that was weird. You're a weirdo. And so he goes home that night and then on an impulse decides to call her and take her out to a bar. Now this is interesting because they go out to this small restaurant and they have this little chat where he asks her some things about herself, but they don't get in depth about each other really.
No,
it's a real
topical.
sort of surface, real sort of surface topical date. But she likes him and he likes her. I mean, that's kind of how first dates go. And so they part, and he's kind of falling for her. And he tells his friend about what happened, and his friend's like, okay, just do me a favor. Don't call her for a little bit.
Don't seem desperate.
Yeah, don't seem desperate because she's young, you're older, you have a steady job, you have a good family, a house, etc. Like you're in a position that a lot of young women might want to take advantage of you. So he's being sexist again.
Yeah.
But he's also offering good advice just from a wrong standpoint. Good advice after a first date. Just kind of, pump the brakes. Like,
yeah.
Think about it a little bit. But yeah, he sort of slows down, and we also get to meet then his secretary. That we
he
find
seems like a totally rational, normal person.
Yeah.
That he could not give a fuck less about.
Yeah, at all. And she's just
because she
like,
does not act or look like a fucking geisha or something.
Yeah, and we find out that like they had sex once. And she comes up to him and she's like, I'm getting married soon. And he's like, oh really? Like, he seems unconcerned, but also like a little embarrassed. It's almost like he feels like I shouldn't have had sex with her. So there's a little of this weirdness between him and the secretary, but here's where the weirdness begins, and I want to explain it from my perspective of this movie.
Okay.
He picks up the phone to call her, but then like sets it down, and in between he has, this is my interpretation, but we see in the movie, Asami sitting near the phone in a weird position and a bag sitting near the phone. She's
just sitting stock still, just staring at the phone.
Yeah.
There's this huge burlap sack.
Now here's what I will say. This is him imagining her just sitting by the phone. All she can do is wait for his call.
Right, like clearly she's just waiting for me to call her.
And that bag is just the baggage he imagines she has.
Okay, yeah, good. Mm-hmm.
Because the first time that we saw the cutaway to that shot of her apartment was when it showed him in his car listening to the radio, and the advertisement for the audition played, and it showed that same exact shot in the apartment. I'm not sure if the bag was there, but the girl sitting in that same position was the girl who plays young Asami.
No way.
It wasn't even regular Asami. So
I didn't catch that.
I am positive at that shot, and even just
this is him imagining.
Her entire apartment is just him imagining.
Because her apartment is dead empty. It's literally just her sitting by a phone, which is to say her waiting for a means to communicate with him.
Yeah, and it's like falling apart and stuff. So he's imagining this for her. We never see what's really going on with her, in my opinion of this movie.
Right.
So he's just imagining that. He doesn't call. He like hangs up instead of calling. And then maybe the next day he calls, and she says that she basically just says something like, I was really hoping you would call. So like it almost validates his feeling that like she was just sitting by the phone waiting for his call.
Right.
But really, she's just saying, like, oh, like, I enjoyed our first date. Let's go on another one. So they go on another one. And this is where things start getting weird. And by the way, we're like 45 minutes into this movie at this point.
Yeah. It's kind of a slow burn.
This movie had followed, up to this point, followed very clearly a rom-com dynamic.
Right.
Like,
and it even had
no
some like
horror.
vaguely funny elements and so on.
Yeah, there's no horror at all. Yeah.
The visual style of the movie does not look anything like a horror movie. If anything, I would say the movie more strongly resembles like a Lifetime made-for-TV movie than anything.
Yeah, there are like a few scenes that are soft focus and sort of like
totally romancy looking.
Yeah,
does not look like a horror movie.
Yeah, they go on this other date and they start in a bar where they're both just having, I think maybe a flute of champagne. I can't remember. It looks something like that.
That's right.
They're both just sitting there and they're talking, and it keeps. You have to pay attention. There keep being these like quick cuts as they're talking. These are like quick black moments. Now later, we will see in his dream some fill-in moments for those.
Like the stuff that happened in between the scenes that we saw.
Yeah, the stuff they were talking about in between that we didn't see here.
Right.
And then it warp cuts to they're in a restaurant in the middle of a conversation. Yeah. And later in his dream we will see sort of what happened there, but also that it's all a little murky.
Right.
So this is where it all gets real weird. This is where things start getting strange because we as the viewer aren't getting what actually happened.
Right.
So we're getting like cut out from seeing everything that happens. And then he and his friend are up on a rooftop and he's playing a round of throw golf.
Oh.
Where you just throw some golf balls at a bucket while his friend is holding a pitching wedge.
I back it.
But his friend says like, "Oh, I called and checked up on her manager. I called and checked up on her backstory, and that it didn't fully check out." And when he asks her on the date, like when he starts to say like, hey, your manager didn't fully check out. And she says, yeah, I was told to say I had a manager because otherwise you guys wouldn't let me audition.
Right.
That is like the logical answer. And like what happens next in my understanding of the movie is they go on this date, this thing where he's going to ask her to marry him. She shows him her scar on her leg. They have sex. They wake up. She accepts his proposal. They go back to sleep. The end.
Right.
But there's an hour more to this movie.
Yeah.
And what happens is that they go to this resort and he's going to propose to her, and she shows him some scars on her leg where she was burned as a child, and then she grabs him and it cuts to him waking up in the bed and the bed is empty.
Right.
Now this is where like this is the horror movie part that
this is where you're speculating kind of an entire dream sequence begins, right?
Yeah, entire dream sequence began the moment that he landed in the bed. So he wakes up.
At this point, had she said that she would marry him yet?
No, she hasn't. So he wakes up and he's in this dream. In the dream, he gets a call from the front desk, and the front desk says that his guest left.
Yeah, she's gone.
So this initiates everything, all the weirdness.
Him trying to find her and finding out her background and so on.
So the first place he goes to find her is the old ballet studio.
Yeah, where she used to dance before she got injured and so on.
So do you remember the ballet instructor?
He was very weird, and he was like hobbled, like he had no feet, and he was in a wheelchair.
Yeah, his feet are gone, but he has false feet that are covered in a type of leather that almost looks like real human skin.
Ugh.
Yeah.
He's got the beatus.
Now, if the things that happen in his dream are consistent, it seems like this is the story of what happened to Asami.
Right.
Asami had parents. Her father died. She went to live with her aunt and uncle. Her aunt was cruel. She would not let Asami have like blankets and stuff, and Asami developed pneumonia. She would basically torture Asami, and eventually Asami was sent back to live with her mother after her mother remarried. Now her mother, she remarried, and this guy had an issue with his feet where he couldn't leave the home. So this is the story that if we believe that those moments in the bar that are cut out are then given back to us like cleanly in his dream, her story is basically that her father ran away, her mother got remarried, and her mother had married a guy who had a problem with his feet and couldn't leave the home much.
Okay.
The story that he fills in,
which makes sense with a lot of the things I kind of think about what this movie's about.
Yeah. The story that he seems to fill in is that her father had run away, so her mother cut off her stepdad's leg so he couldn't leave. Her stepdad is the ballet instructor.
Right.
The ballet instructor tortured her while the mother was away by burning her legs. And she then later moved on. She got into a relationship, as we'll find out, with, in the dream, she got into a relationship with an executive at the music management company. That guy was in a relationship with the owner of the Stonefish, which is where she says that she worked as a bartender 3 times a week.
Right, the bar.
Yeah, so the radio executive was in a relationship with the owner of the Stonefish. This owner of the Stonefish got killed, chopped up, and they also found at the site 3 extra fingers, an ear, and a tongue.
Yeah, that didn't belong to him.
So if all of those things check out as true, what I'm saying is that all the things that don't fully check out as true or don't follow a full logic is that the parts where we see the record executive in the bag being fed a bowl of puke cum.
Yeah.
The parts where we see all these other things that are impossible, like he's getting a blowjob from Asami in her apartment, even though he's never been in her apartment.
Yeah.
He's getting a blowjob from her, and then she turns into his secretary, and she has cum all over her face.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fucking insane.
Yeah.
And then the secretary turns into his son's new girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like, that, none of that tracks.
No.
So, like, that has to be a dream. There's no other way for any of that to make sense.
Sure, yeah.
Well, I mean, what do you think? I mean, what is going on here? What is his fear? Why is all this happening in his dream right after he's proposed to the woman he thinks he's in love with?
Well, essentially what I think that so much of this movie is about, like really what I think that this movie is ultimately all about, whether, some of it's a dream or not, I think that it's all basically about the worst possible gender stereotypes that male and female have about their counterparts in a relationship. Even the title of the movie, Audition,
Yeah.
You could call a date an audition. You're auditioning somebody to be your partner. That's all that a date is, right?
Yeah, certainly.
And I think that what we see throughout so much of the movie are the worst possible stereotypes. Because here's the thing, is like, to a lot of people, whenever they watch this flick, especially if it's the first time you watch it, you think that it's a movie about, a guy goes out with this girl, it turns out she's crazy, and she fucking mutilates him and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And really, though, what you miss the first time around is that the dude, our main guy here, is really fucking shitty and has horrible attitudes about women. And he basically represents all of the negative stereotypes of probably what a female expects a male to be in a relationship. He is literally holding audition to find the prettiest, youngest, skinniest, most talented female of the bunch that he can possibly get to be his life partner, which again is what dating basically is for a lot of guys. What he's doing is completely sexist and is just basically trying to find an object which he can marry, which is good enough for him.
Yeah.
And again, we see the things of like him just assuming she is just waiting by the phone for his call and so on.
Yeah, and I think because maybe we haven't provided enough evidence that he is sexist. He does use the words about his future wife, obedient and well-trained.
Ugh.
And he refers to the audition as like buying my first car.
Oh, dude. And then,
so there's no area of gray as to whether or not he's shitty about this.
Exactly. And that's the thing too, is like if you watch this movie and you get to the end and you see him being mutilated by her and you like feel really bad for him, you're probably pretty fucking stupid. Like, he's a shitty person. You know, he's not meant to be a good, likable dude if you have, I think, respect for women and stuff.
But again, this is his dream.
Yeah.
So like, is he realizing that? Like, he's realizing as he proposes to her and stuff like that, he's realizing like, oh, first off, I don't know that much about her. She could be crazy, etc. But also, like, I've been really shitty to her. Like, I haven't even told her about my son and my dead wife. I haven't told her all these things. So, well, that's kind of the thing about it, really, though, is most of the negative male stereotypes in the movie that come from him are sort of pre-dream sequence, and then post-dream sequence, which is when they're on the vacation and he asks her to marry and stuff. That's when we start getting into the other side of the story, which is what the very negative female stereotypes of the movie are, as far as like what a man expects a woman to do. Now, this is where stuff gets really very brutal and very negative to me, because apparently, I guess you could say basically what the male stereotype of what a woman could do in the worst possible way is literally hobbling him so he can't run off. Literally cutting his feet off so he can't run away. We see with the guy that she keeps in the burlap bag, she has cut his tongue out and literally made him speechless. Yeah.
So it's like the male's perspective of the worst thing a female could do is like, just fucking cripple me, silence me. And then even like that scene where, again, with the guy in the burlap bag where she's like throwing up into a bowl and feeding it to him. It's like that's essentially just like mother birding him. That's mama bird. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And that is some fear that some men have, that if you let your wife go off and earn the money, what she's doing basically is going off and sucking the cum out of other men and coming back and puking it up so you can drink it up.
Ugh.
Like that, and it's I mean, I didn't create any of those images, but that's what this movie is sort of presenting in his dream, that's one of his fears, is that she's going to hobble him, she's going to take away his masculinity, she's going to take away his power, and then he will be beholden to her. And she will just, be empowered to do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Again, his fears tell us more about where his mind is. Like he's got some issues with women for sure.
Yeah, absolutely so. And she has issues with men, clearly.
Well, yeah, in his mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like, if any of those things are true, we don't know. Like, I feel like they're not, though. I feel like it's all him. I feel like he's the one who is imagining these things, because there is some ambiguity. His friend is saying, like, I don't know about this manager, and then he finds out, well, yeah, I lied about the manager, and then he thinks, like, well, she might be lying about everything.
And then he finds a bar where the guy was killed, and there's extra parts that didn't add up.
Yeah,
which, of course, the tongue and so on belongs to the guy in the burlap bag. Yeah,
and the delivery guy, like, says, you know, I've never seen such a lady working here. So, like, why would she? This is the interesting thing. If she never worked at the Stonefish Grill, why would she point him to the place where she killed someone?
Yeah.
And killed, like, why?
But again, that's absurd dream logic.
Yeah. Yeah, this follows the Nightmare on Elm Street dream logic type of thing, where it's just things don't entirely work, but they do because it's a dream.
Right.
It's not real.
And then not long after that is where we have her doing the home invasion, where she busts into his house and fucking sprays him with stuff that kind of like paralyzes him.
Well, she poisons his whiskey.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And then she gives him a shot in his tongue so he can't speak. And the thing is that these scenes shouldn't be overlooked, because these are the best scenes for the actress for sure.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because she's had to be, like, reserved and demure and not show, like, anything up to this point. And then she gets to do all this, and I read that Takashi Miike told her to just have fun with it, like, just, you know, really enjoy yourself. And she does. Like, she's, like, smiling and having a good time because, you know, for her, it's all fake. And the more fun that she seems to be having, the more menacing it really is.
Oh, God. And even, too, like, before she starts doing the really punishing stuff to him, she goes off and she comes back wearing it's like a black leather apron. It's very, like, it's very dominatrix-y, which
it's so cool.
Which, again, to a very stereotypical male kind of standpoint, it's like the fear of being dominated by a woman, to this character, I'm sure, is very, very, very imposing and bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And this is an iconic scene that has been,
oh my God,
somewhat recreated in American Mary, which I highly recommend. I think is a good horror movie that's more recent. But this is so cool because, yeah, she becomes the dominant one, and that's...
She literally straddles him, like he's laying down and she straddles him.
Yeah, she takes out these long needles. And
notice she penetrates him.
Yeah. She starts right in his most sensitive area of the stomach. She's just pushing these needles into these really painful spots. And she just she's saying, like, deeper, deeper in English, but it sounds like kitty, 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 kitty. And it's like, it's so creepy. Weird, and she's just smiling as she does it. Just so great. I love the way that she plays it. And she puts in all these needles, just big needles, and then he's
paralyzed, but he can still. Yeah. They make it clear to let you know that, like, he's paralyzed, but he can still feel everything. Yeah. His nerves will still work. He just can't move.
Yeah, and she slides up onto those needles, like she's like straddling those needles, and just they're shoving harder and, like, into a different angle. That would be so painful.
Oh my God, it's so brutal to watch.
Then she takes some needles and she puts them through his eyelids to the back of his eye, like under his eyeball.
Oh my God.
And then I really like the Foley work here, where she just sort of flicks one and it's like boing.
Oh, dude, the sound effects and stuff for all of that scene are really fucking disgusting.
Yeah, and that actually, I think, furthers my point that it's a dream, because the sound effects suddenly become like a huge deal, and
they're real big.
like
they're
real big. Yeah. So she's doing this, and then he slips into his dream further, like from this. Like, doesn't he goes further into the dream where he suddenly like starts having more images of her killing the piano or the ballet instructor at the piano
with like the piano wire, like
kind
of wiring him and stuff.
Yeah. And then it cuts back to him, and she's pulling out that wire to use on his feet.
Yeah, to cripple him and immobilize him.
Yeah. And this is scary as shit, but also she plays it, like, there's no other way to say it, adorably.
Oh my god! And it's so
she gets into a
see.
cute position, and she's like smiling. She got like her tongue a little bit on her teeth, and she's like, like
it's like she's doing like arts and crafts day, and she's like, "This is fun."
Yeah. And she saws off the first one and then picks it up, and a great shot from outside through the patio window. She throws the foot at the window, and it just hits and thuds and falls down.
The sound effects of her sawing through it's really one of those things they did a lot of work on, but the sound effect of her sawing through skin and then sawing through muscle, like wet, bloody muscle, and then sawing through bone, and then finishing and it just going and disconnecting from the leg. Fucking disgusting. Like some of the most effective sound effect work I've seen in a violent scene. Oh god, it's so bad.
And the cool thing is that because he's paralyzed and his tongue is paralyzed, he can't fully scream. So like you get the sounds of the sawing more than screaming.
Right.
And it's like so detached and so disgusting. Like just those like, you don't like to think of your body as like something that can be sawed through.
Oh, it's so slow and just agonizing, dude. And she's sawing through the second foot, and that's when his son comes home, right?
Yeah, his son comes home, and she picks up this spray, and again, there's no other way to refer to it, but cutely, she sprays this spray and sort of has this like menacing smile. I think it's some sort of pepper spray.
Kind of like, or like ether or something that like knocks you out. Yeah,
maybe. I'm not sure. But he comes in and he's like, what's going on? And then she sort of like comes running at, oh, sorry. I said earlier it cuts further into the dream. This is when the sun comes in. Yeah, the son comes in and he's like, Dad, and then like you can see her coming at him from behind, and then it cuts further into the dream where we see all this other stuff where it's like, okay, so there's no way this is reality, or there's no way. It just doesn't make sense. There's no way this is reality.
Right.
And so she, we see all that, the cut further into the dream. We come back and she's chasing the son. He runs up the stairs, and sort of falls at the top of the stairs, and she starts spraying him with the spray, like in the face, and he kicks her, sending her just flying down the stairs.
Yeah.
Where her neck breaks.
Right.
And is that when... Oh, no. Okay. No, when... So I'm so sorry. I'm the one who most recently watched this and should be getting it right. Whenever it cut away from whenever the sun came in, whenever it cut back away, that's when he wakes up in the resort bed and he checks his foot. And his foot's still there.
Oh, yeah.
And she's
that's right.
there.
That's right.
And she wakes up and she accepts his proposal. And he's like freaking, and then he sort of calms, and he falls back asleep, and he wakes back up, and he's in the dream again. He's
that's
in
right,
that
where
dream
he doesn't
like
have
immediately.
The foot. That's a cool sequence, just to kind of remind you of where you are in the story.
Yeah. And to tell you, like, this is a dream. None of this is happening. He's freaking out because he asked her to marry him, and he hasn't gotten an answer yet, and he doesn't know enough about her, and like, oh, so he's sexist. So like,
yeah. He's seeing his future here.
Yeah, so her neck's broken. She's at the bottom of the stairs. The son runs down to call the police. He's calling the police, and there's this conversation that's happening, which is again impossible. Her neck is broken. He can't speak, but they're having a sort of conversation, and then it starts replaying some things that were said earlier.
Yeah.
While they were like sort of dating. And again, like it becomes obvious at this point that like none of this could possibly be happening. Like I guess there's a way of seeing this movie where he is naive and she is crazy, and he does actually wake up and she's gone, and all of this stuff does happen, and he just sort of phases out and feels like maybe all of this was a dream like up to this point, and that he's just gonna wake up in the resort and she's gonna accept his proposal.
Right.
Like there is a way of seeing that, but it like the logic doesn't work out for me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And basically that's just kind of where the movie sort of wraps up, right?
Yeah, it just ends there. I mean, the best part about this is a dream, as far as I'm concerned. So it's creative. The story is creative. It has some creativity to it, but also undercuts the entirety of the horror with first off, its basis in sexism, and second off, its basis in a dream.
And it's interesting too, because really, depending on your perspective on what typical, male-female relationships are like, definitely alters your perception on what this movie is about. Because again, to dudes like us, I think that we watch it and we're just seeing, it's like, oh yeah, these are just the worst gender stereotypes and the worst possible outcomes of what we expect of each other as genders, and the outcomes of those things in a relationship could be. But probably to a lot of like fucking shitty dudes that watch this, they're probably like, yo, that's about
you gotta
right.
be careful.
Fucking women, fucking cripple, you cut your tongue out.
They seem totally perfect, and then you walk up to them and you're like,
bitch, you cray.
I bet you can't even name all the characters from Firefly. And then they say, I don't want to, and you're like, yeah, that's right. Women don't like me because I'm so real.
You know what would have been the best is like whenever the movie ends and it cuts to the credits, if the soundtrack goes to, hey, you're a crazy bitch, but you folks are gonna
Oh God, some Buck Cherry would have totally fixed everything. Is that who that was?
Yes, I have done more than one cruise gig with Buck Cherry.
Oh, good.
Put that on my tombstone, please.
I already did. I always have your tombstone up
and
ready to roll so that I can just type up what you need.
Is it on mytombstonedesigner.com?
Yeah, right now you will be living in a pyramid the size of the Great Pyramid. So
that's so great.
Hey, I mean, listen, you've said too many good things. Do you think that's what the pyramids are covered in? Just cool shit the pharaoh said?
I like to think so.
Yeah, like you see like two people with wheat, from the side handing the wheat to a hippopotamus-headed god, but really like the pharaoh is just like, what if you gave wheat to a hippopotamus-headed god?
Wouldn't that be
crazy,
silly?
right?
It'd be goofy.
Yeah, and everybody was like, yeah, I guess, and they wrote it down. Like, you had to pretend that the pharaoh was funny.
Yeah. I think this is a pretty cool flick though, and like I said, I do think that very much depending on what your feelings are about the typical behaviors of the opposite gender are or would be, I think it definitely changes your perception on this movie. It's cool. Like it's one of those that, like I said earlier, like I won't necessarily watch like for fun again and again.
No.
Like, I didn't watch it again before we did this podcast because I was like, well, really, I mean, it's a pretty slow movie and it's very simple. I mean, ultimately, it's very simple. Like, there's a lot of weird shit that happens that you can interpret a lot of ways, like what we talked about, but it's ultimately a pretty simple movie, so I don't feel like it's one of those I need to watch again and again. But like I said earlier, it's one of those that I want to watch with other people just to see what they get out of it. Yeah.
It's certainly, like, as far as likes or dislikes with this movie, I like the concept behind this sexist asshole holding an audition that turns out really bad for him.
Yeah.
But because the story doesn't fully bear that out, I fully dislike the twist. I dislike the dream element. Mm-hmm. I do like the way that the dream element plays out, because it gets really weird and it's very interesting. Like,
oh yeah.
What, like, the way you get into his psyche through the dream is really interesting, but the fact that the dream element undercuts any other message that the movie might have is a negative for me, for sure.
I can see that. I can totally see what you mean. For me, as far as likes and dislikes, like, I really enjoy, like you said, I really enjoy the sexist angles that you can look into and see this movie from both sides. Because, I mean, really, it's like both sides can be guilty here. You know, the guy just wanting his fucking perfect geisha that he's looking for, the woman crippling the man, and so on. There's no really truly guiltless party in this whole thing. I enjoy that element of it. I like movies where there's not necessarily a lot of violence and gore, but whenever there is violence or gore, it comes in way fucking hot and it kind of blows your hair back, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you ever seen, like, A History of Violence with, like, Viggo Mortensen?
Yes.
Like, that's a really chill, sedate movie.
Yeah, up until a certain point. Yeah.
Oh my god. And it kind of like Drive, too. Like, Drive has a few moments of just, like, horrific, brutal violence that you're almost lulled into submission, and then when it happens, it's just like, holy fucking shit. I like that element in movies, and this movie definitely has quite a lot of that, where you don't really expect violence or weirdness, and then when it happens, it's extremely surreal or extremely violent. And two, like, I'll tell you, having seen a couple of his other flicks, a lot of times Takashi handles violence with an almost cartoonish panache. A lot of the violence in his other flicks is handled with CGI, and it looks like super fake and really corny and really, really lame. Honestly, it really kind of takes you out of it. There's a lot of the kills in Ichi that are just like
this
so over the
top. This is very practical and looks great.
Yeah, I agree. The gore and stuff and the way it's used in this movie is very convincing and very, very, very good. So I like that about it too. As far as dislikes, I feel like this could have been a short film. Like, this could have been a Masters of Horror and been like 30 minutes long. Really,
shouldn't be 2 hours for sure.
Yeah, like, really, it is. And again, I like a slow burn movie, but this is pretty fucking slow. I do feel like it could have been cut down to being like a short film kind of thing. And a lot of the visual of the movie does look like a Lifetime or, like, you know, straight to DVD movie. It doesn't look great per se. Overall, I would say, like, as far as like how much fun I have watching it, if I was to give it like a 1 out of 10 rating, I would say it's probably like maybe like a 5 out of 10. But it's one of those that I still feel is very important that people should watch it. It's like, I feel like as far as impact and importance, it's probably more like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, it has some importance for sure, but I mean, just watching it post any real impact it has, it's like, well, this is not the best movie in the world. Yeah, 4.5 for me, I would say.
Yeah. But fun to talk about and fun to see what people have to say about it.
Yeah. Since we're from the future, I can say that there's another movie we watch in the future that involves a dream that doesn't undercut, and in fact, really helps to make the story deeper by having this sort of dream reveal later on. And that movie is high tension. So like when we talk about that later, I think that this movie could have done that and doesn't, and that movie does. So if you're gonna use dreams, you gotta make sure that you're not undercutting any sort of strong message you're sending.
Right.
Yeah.
Overall, I enjoyed the flick. I think it's pretty cool. It's one of those to watch.
Yeah. It's got some great
time
parts.
Or two.
Especially if you're a dinosexual. I mean, if you're a dinosexual and you feel like Jurassic Park's your only way to go, this one will help.
Yeah, this is totally for you.
Yeah.
Well, so Steve, what are we gonna cover next on the show here? Maybe possibly redo from the future if the audio is fucked, which it very well may be, knowing how we recorded those original podcasts.
That's absolutely possible because we did one of my favorite horror movies, In the Mouth of Madness by John Carpenter.
Yes.
And it's probably gonna need to be re-recorded. If it is, I'm fine with that because I will watch that movie any time of the day, any day of the year.
Yeah, same here. Whenever we reviewed it, that was the first time that I'd seen it, and I found it to become one of my favorite horror movies. I think it's really fucking cool. I really like that movie. So even if we do have to redo it, it'll be great. But if I go back and check the audio and it's fine, you guys will have a great episode from Steve and Ben from the past. Which you haven't actually seen since our debut episode. A whole episode of past Ben and Steve. So we'll see about that.
Hey, so Ben.
Hey,
our
Steve.
listeners can find us deadandlovelypod@gmail.com. Email us with your comments. Email us with your questions, with requests. Email us with dick pics. I love those. I love a dick pic.
You know, I was wondering recently, like after like the very first like camera phones came out to where we could like send photos to each other and stuff.
How long did it take for a dick pic?
I know. Like I'm wondering if we're talking weeks or if we're talking like seconds. Because I think seconds.
I bet in the lab, while they were making the phone,
probably
the first picture sent was a dick pic.
I think that you're probably right to be like, hey, does this work? Here's my pee. I don't know.
Yeah. And they were like, I'm not sure this is a low-res picture. Could you send it again? I guess. I don't know. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram @DeadLovelyPod.
You guys can also find me on Twitter and Instagram @BenEllerGuitars, and you can find my YouTube channel on youtube.com/BenEllerGuitars, where you can find some great guitar instructional videos. Where can they track you down, Steve?
I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram @Steven Spratling. Steven with a V, the only way to spell Steven. You could also
PH people can PH fuck off.
I wouldn't mention this because I think this is a future revelation, but my dog has an Instagram and she almost has as many followers as me. So follow my dog @Salem T Boogans. That's Salem like the city in Massachusetts. T like the letter Boogans. Boogins.
Oh, what a darling.
And hopefully you'll get a picture of her and some food. I don't know. Something super white.
And in the meantime, we'll catch you guys next time. Maybe from the past, maybe from the future, maybe a blend of both. Where we'll be covering In the Mouth of Madness. Such a super cool flick. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please go on iTunes and rate and review this podcast. Please go on there, give us a high rating and review it. Even if it's just like saying, cool. That's the kind of stuff that makes us way more visible in searches and stuff like that. It makes us pop up every time you search for Horror Movie Podcast or whatever it is you're looking for. Makes it a lot easier to find us. So please rate and review. Don't use bad words or else they won't post it and it doesn't count. So be nice. Use your church language now.
Send your bad words to us, deadandlovelypod@gmail.com.
In the meantime, you guys have been great, and we have been dead and lovely. Have a good week, y'all.
Bye.